translational problems. And the leadership journey starts when you start sensing a real problem of the society. And when you sense the real problem and build a solution around it, either in the form of a product or service, and take it to the market and create impact in the society, this is where your entrepreneurial journey starts. So, startup is not just about building a company, it's about building a solution, right? So, when we're talking about the problems, so maybe like world's largest, biggest problems are the STEM problems. Maybe you are aware of it that there's a malnutrition, food security, or energy sustainability, climate resilience, education, livelihoods, or public health. These are all mostly STEM problems. And being a STEM professional, being a STEM educators, you are not only the problem solvers inside the lab, but you can be the solution architect of the society by creating a change in the life of the people. So how you can, so being a STEM professional, how you can utilize science and technology for building a solution. So these are the four steps I would say about this. First is identify what is the real problem. So when you are going to build a product, first build is the real problem. So when you are going to build a product, first build a solution without knowing the grassroots problems, and nobody is going to use it. Without knowing the grassroots problems, and nobody is going to use it. So first, what is the existing science? Science already exists, like proven research, what is the existing technology, scientific outcomes, then you can build upon the product. Then third step is identify why it is not reaching people. So it is not about the technical, it is mostly into the analysis of the socio-economic. So you have to identify if the technologies exist, if you have the product, then why it is not reaching the people. Then in the fourth stage, you have to build a system, how we can reach it to the society, create an impact. So you work upon this is where your leadership journey starts. And the leadership skills you need to have, it's all about system thinking, collaboration, understanding of the policy, community engagement, and entrepreneurship. So I'm just giving an example of nucleus cluster where I am promoting under Unseen Foundation. So basically, I am a life sciences professional having PhD in life sciences. Then afterwards, I spent almost 2 decades in startup innovation entrepreneurial ecosystem. Then in 23, I founded my own venture, this Unseen Foundation, to work for farmers empowerment and address the malnutrition. So here, this is the problem statement is malnutrition and farms to increase the farms productivity. So this is the nutritional rice cluster model that we have built. So of Government of India, we secured the funding for the setting of the cluster, and in collaboration with the national R&D institutions, we built the high protein nutritional rice. This is India's first high protein rice having more than 10% protein content, and we built this value chain in this processing area in the cluster. Then we mobilized 1,000 farmers into this cluster initiative to be part of this cluster model. Then we built this system distribution to sell out the product and to reach to the community in. So this is the cluster model. So if you want to create a science to impact model, then if you are a STEM professor,
Yes or no? And what else? Just say anything. What you feel that something is needed to be, for women to be successful in STEM. Again, I can hear consistency. Okay, very good. What else? Yes, perseverance. Next. That's very good. Discipline. Yes, nothing is needed. Simple one word. You have everything. You have to be just curious. That's it. In Master of Biophysics, I did my, I was visiting scientist in Master of Biophysics. My boss was Nobel laureate Hartmut himself. And I have interacted not less than 10 Nobel laureates during my research. I always feel everybody is not exceptionally talented, or average, but most of them are very curious. I mean, you look at 8 years old scientist, but curious like a teenager. So my last message for women is just be confident. Don't have to take advice from here and there that you are weak and you need support or need attention. No, just have to be curious. Just be bold. Just be brave. That's it. Thank you.
Which is the keyword, confidence, determination. Thank you, panel. May I request to Honorable Vice Chancellor, sir, please come on stage and felicitate panelists. Your little bit of applause will definitely bring beyond to the house. It is the research before you can apply. In a very short span of time, they have done it. And to change, and change is the real tool. And this change is we have to move off session two. As Dr. Black has to move out quickly. He is already on stage. Senior scientist in AIMS, New Delhi. Please put your hands together. Women leaders, I also request Sanatan Banerjee, Associate Professor, in charge infectious disease services AIMS. Please come on, guys. Sanatan, nice. Sir. Thank you so very much. I'm really honored and pleased that I've been given this opportunity to visit Shiksha O Anusandhan University. So, big hand for the Shiksha O Anusandhan. I'm very thankful to the organizers. I'm very thankful to the Chevening team. Supriya is here, Raju, Professor Richard Brand, and Rory Gillis from Oxford. We miss the days which we spent in Oxford that time. I am very fond of working for young women, girls, or women leaders in healthcare space, and I'll be extremely grateful if we try to make this session a little interactive. You know, I know you people are busy on your phones, you're sleeping somewhere in the corner, and maybe you're feeling that when the tea break will happen. I'll just take 5 7 minutes more, not more than that. So my name is Kamal Gulati and I work as a senior scientist at All India Institute of Medical Sciences, New Delhi. I also serve at two UK universities, UCL and Brazil. So the title is Women Leaders in Healthcare. There is yeah. So raise your hand if you have ever stayed quiet, even though you had a good idea or you thought you were right. Okay. Anybody, when you thought that you were right, but you didn't speak. Okay. So I make it little simplified. Raise your hand if you thought someone else will say it better. Maybe in your class, maybe in your lecture, when you thought that, okay, I should not open my mouth, somebody else will speak better. I can see Richard is also raising his hand. So when a professor from Oxford says yes, I think we should agree to it. Okay, great. So that silence, that's not lack of ability. That's not that you are not competent. That's how does a train to survive and not to lead in our culture. Historically, the time is changing, of course, now. So every time you speak, you are rewriting that training. So be open, be confident, and believe in yourself. That is the message which I want to convey. Now, a woman, because that is the title of my lecture. Just imagine in your mind how she looks like. Does she look here? Does she look like this? A woman in a white coat with a stethoscope, middle aged, right? Yes or no? Yes. So most of us just picture the same person, and chances are it wasn't a young woman. We always believe that you become a leader when you are at certain age or certain level of your life. I give you some hints to imagine again, and now you imagine a women leader as a doctor, a researcher, a teacher, an entrepreneur, innovator, administrator, and a leader. You know, so healthcare need not to be like the one who is seeing patient, but there are many other facets of healthcare leadership which you can think of. And when you think she looks like this, it can be you tomorrow, but still there is some room for improvement. She's a mother, she's a wife, she's a daughter-in-law, and she's a sister. You know. So actually, a healthcare leader, a women leader, looks like this. I told ChatGPT to generate this image, and you can see there are three hands. So that is a symbol of multitasking, right? When we talk about medicine, more than 50% of seats are now taken by the girls, young girls, in both in undergraduate as well as in postgraduate courses in medicine, in healthcare. Almost 55 to 60% girls are coming into medicine now or healthcare related areas. So that is the women power of women in healthcare leader. So health systems rely heavily on women, yet leadership structures were designed around the male career trajectory. If you see in the boardroom, the main leadership positions are held by men. But of course, the time is changing now. In my research, we have seen that only 16% of women occupy leadership roles in healthcare space. Only 16% in the Indian context. And it is evidence-based. If I tell about my institute, which is Organised for Medical Sciences, it is a premier medical institute. We had been only one women director in the last almost 60 years. Only one women director. Only one medical superintendent. One women medical superintendent in AIC, Nirko. So in my research, when I started working in the healthcare system, I noticed something strange that women were everywhere, especially in nursing. You must be having a nursing college in the south. There are many. But when it comes to taking decisions in the boardroom, whether it is about administration, it is about budgeting, it is about policies, the chairs are generally taken by the men. So women generally don't have much say when it comes to about the governance or the administrative part of the organization. So I request you to look into this aspect that once you become a little mature in your career trajectory, you must get into the boardroom and have a say. Don't don't be shy. Speak up. That is the message. So I'm just leaving this, leaving this, leaving this. Yeah. I just want to highlight one women leader, possibly Dr. Soumya Swaminathan. She was trained as a pediatrician, a medical doctor. She worked on TB and HIV, became a researcher, published more than 500 research articles in her 30 years career journey. She was trained in UK and the US. She has served as the Secretary of Government of India in the Department of Health Research and the DG Director General of ICMR. So you see the diversity of her portfolio. When she went into medical school, possibly she wanted to become a medical doctor, right? She would have possibly not imagined that one day she will be running the apex science body of our country, the Indian uh, Council of Medical Research. So you never know when you start at a very young age. You don't know what is the destination. And leadership is not about position; it is about practice. You need not to get a tag of a dean or a director of an administrator. It should be in your attitude. It should be in your behavior. It should be in your personality. So how leadership looks like in healthcare? Yeah, three things I would like women to know. You don't need permission to lead. You know, whether you are in your school, your university, you're in class, or in your career, you have to take the responsibility and deliver it. Once you take the responsibility and deliver it, people will know that yes, you do have the leadership traits and they will assign you more work. So, leadership comes with a responsibility and accountability. You don't have to lead like anyone else. You know, you have to develop your own leadership style. You don't need to follow somebody, so be unique in your own way. People will feel that you are assertive, you are aggressive, you are dominating. That's okay. That's how leaders are. They are not simple straight people. And your voice gets stronger only by being used. So don't keep your mouth shut. Speak up. That is the message. Don't be shy. And this is how somebody said women empowerment looked like Shakti. So this is a Shakti in our ancient history. Women have been very, very vibrant, very, very powerful, very, very resourceful, knowledgeable, teachers, philosophers, artists, dancers, musicians. So women leaders look like this. So this is our ancient culture, which you must also remember. Women in Bharat, the ancient India looks like very dynamic, very powerful and resourceful. And recently we won the Women World Cup 2025. So a big, big, big thanks to all the women, young women in the house and beyond. Thank you so very much.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak in front of this vibrant young group from Siksha Anusandhan University. Myself is Shantan. I'm an infectious disease physician. Currently, I practice medicine as well as teach in the All India Institute of Medical Sciences, Kalyani, in West Bengal. And I have absolutely no dilemma in telling that I have always found women in my field much more organized, much more adherent to the guidelines, much more better in giving patient outcomes. And I have absolutely no doubt in telling that. And there are even strong evidences where I can show you that women in medicine, women in healthcare, has actually done better than men. That is evidence based. That's not just something I'm just speaking overall. Okay. So if you see the healthcare scenario in India, so the healthcare scenario is mostly now a number one driver in the job opportunities in overall Indian setup. Now, as we are quite afraid of the artificial intelligence taking up, a lot of jobs, software developers, and even for lawyers and many other information technology jobs, the artificial intelligence is taking up. But in healthcare, where you actually have to deliver the physical healthcare to people, that jobs are still secure, and that is still now the most major driver of job opportunities in India. We have, if you see the global scenario, among the entire US healthcare workforce, women dominate three-fourths of the entire US healthcare workforce. It is about, say, 76 to 77%. As Dr. Gulati has told, unfortunately, women are much lesser in leadership positions in Indian hospitals. In US, already about one third of the hospitals are led by women. We have, when women actually work in healthcare, they say that they are much more having career satisfaction than in other jobs. And in US, about 45% of women are there represented in the medical education. Okay. And now women practitioner. So these are specialized roles where women can think, and then there comes the research and leadership roles, where there is medical education, medical laboratory technology, and a lot of research roles where women can actually perform very good in terms of healthcare related professions. As I come from an infectious disease and clinical microbiology background, there is a lot of women in my particular field. Nowadays, you know that antimicrobial resistance, antibiotic resistance is becoming a very, very significant issue. And a lot of microbiologists demand, job demand is there. A lot of, molecular biology job demand is there. So not only in diagnostic services, but also in research, there are significant areas where women can come and women can lead the positions in the laboratory, as well as antimicrobial stewardship issues. As you know, that in the private hospitals or in the government hospitals, in the tertiary care setups, the doctors tend to give more antibiotics and higher antibiotics with broader coverage to ensure that the patient's safety is, taken care of. But the problem is the antimicrobial resistance has shown that actually we are doing more harm by giving broader antibiotics instead of giving targeted narrow antibiotics. The problem is in most of the setups, the doctors actually are using the antibiotics as anxiolytics for themselves rather than true care for the patients. So in these setups, it is seen that a women leader in a hospital in antimicrobial stewardship practice does much better in controlling the maximum male doctors, for reducing their irrational antibiotic usage. So antimicrobial stewardship is also a very strong role for the women. Now, if you see the overall job scenario, there are also other jobs like the health informatics, the clinical data manager, the medical writer, where there is a same health convergence, where also women have got significant leadership roles. I wanted to talk about this particular slide, which I have taken from a research published in the British Medical Journal, as well as this is quite well recognized throughout the world that whenever there is women in the leadership, marginally, at least marginally, the outcome is better than whenever the men is in leadership, in particular to healthcare. So if you see more patient-centered communication, the men tends to do very rapid communication, not giving much attention to the people. Women tend to have a better communication strategy. They have more adherence to the clinical guidelines. They have more, patient disclose more information to a women doctor or a women nurse or a women practitioner. So overall, there is a better data-driven, better results whenever a woman is in leadership for healthcare. This is something I wanted to tell, and I want to give four examples in front of you. After the COVID, in very recent times, we have seen these four wonderful leaders of India who actually demonstrated very significant leadership role. And as Dr. Gulati has told about Dr. Soma Swaminathan, who has been the chief scientist of WHO. That's not a matter of joke. The chief scientist of WHO headquarters has been an Indian woman who was a pediatrician by training and was a tuberculosis and HIV researcher. Later on, during the before even before COVID, the maximum cause of child death in India was diarrhea. Okay, diarrhea was the major cause of child death, particularly infant mortality. And that child death was caused by a virus called rotavirus. Okay, the maximum causes of diarrhea was rotavirus, and the rotavirus vaccine was discovered and rolled out by this wonderful lady leader, Dr. Gagandeep Kaur. We should remember these people. And then we have Dr. Priya Abraham, who was the director of NIV Pune, where for the first time, she cultured the COVID virus, the SARS-CoV-2 virus, which led to the formation of the new vaccine, the Bharat Biotech Covaxin. And last but not the least, I must mention Dr. Sangamitra Pati, who is daughter of this soil of Odisha, currently the Additional Director General of ICMR, who had done wonderful work during COVID and has published the seroprevalence data as well as large COVID epidemiological data from India and is regarded as one of the top leading infectious disease researcher from India. So these four leaders showed that in recent times how women with zeal and leadership skill can reach the topmost position. Now the time is over. What I just wanted to mention is, women in healthcare professionals, women in healthcare is not just gap filling kind of a thing. Right now, if you understand the difference between a man and a woman, historically, women and evolutionarily, what is a woman and what is a man? So, whenever a human being gives his genetic code to his child, okay, it is equivalent genetic code from both the father and the mother. Both 50% genetic code gets to the child. But the mother's investment in transferring the genetic code is much, much higher. So, if you see the early human evolution, the role of the father was just to donate the sperm, which will give the 50% of the genetic code, and then he was mostly the hunter and gatherer for the family to get food. The woman used to not only raise the child, used to develop the child in her womb, would raise the child, and entirely the child's bringing up and the culture and the language of the family was centered around the women. So historically, if you see, the civilization's core has centered around the human population, which was largely daytime dominated by women in the household, where the men were the hunters and gatherers. Okay, so probably historically, the entire healthcare, before the formalization of the healthcare that we see now, for the last 2000 years, there are formalization of healthcare. But the major part of the healthcare services, the care given to the, ailing and ill diseased persons has been historically in the history of human beings for 10 lakh years, has been by the women. So with this message, I want to end today's talk and encouraging all my, wonderful women over here, young women, to consider taking up STEM as well as healthcare services in particular as their job options. Think about diversifying. Don't think about only being doctors or nurses. There are many, many career options, and we are here to, guide you or network with you, and encourage you in your future endeavors. That's all for me. Thank you.
And once again, because Honorable Vice Chancellor kindly take pains and the honor of visiting our speakers. I think upload is little short of what we had and to put together. So when we are talking, we are using our things in India. So we're serving each other and while comedy others. So it's a pleasure to have you here. So we are all in it. Thank you, sir. It's now time to call on stage Supriya Chawla, head of Swimming Scholarship India, British High Commission in New Delhi. So you're speaking on the particular scholarship in India, put your hands together. This is a key point in our all people must be looking for this current thing. Put your hands together for Ami or Sue. We all got like you all, but still assisting man. Let's put hands together for you.
Great. It's great. Thank you so much. So this is more of a conversation. So we're going to sort of sit together and talk rather than get onto the dais. So I think I must have been the only person who was sitting there and actually deleting my notes because so much was being said that we were planning to say. So I was just sort of deleting this. It also sort of reminds me of an instance when there was a visitor to India and who was going to be driving for the very first time in a place like Delhi. And he said, do you drive on the left or on the right? So he was advised that you just drive in the space that is left. So, so that is where the state that we are in right now. We will be speaking about whatever is left because a lot has been said. And I hope that it's been inspirational. All of the talks that you've listened to have been inspirational so far. So thanks a lot to Shiksha Anusandhan for hosting us today and for providing this wonderful audience to us as well for these sessions today. Thank you. So I think just by way of introduction, my name is Supriya Chawla. I'm the head of Chevening and I work at the British High Commission in Delhi. Um, so I think curiosity, somebody mentioned curiosity, and that is something that I think I was very curious when I was a child. And I think anything that was brought to the house could be a clock, could be a table lamp. I had the tendency to sort of pull it apart and then put it back together. Yes. So that's another story that half the times I couldn't put things back together. But I think the curiosity was what drove me then to take up science as a subject as well. So I think keep that curiosity going. Really, I think that is a very good point that was brought up earlier in the discussion. Like I said, I had deleted, so I'm just going to make sure that I stick to my notes as well, so that I won't take a lot of time. Um, I think equally, even if you are pursuing STEM or you are at the threshold of choosing STEM as your in your studies or in your career, but I think keep an equal interest in a whole lot of other things like art, culture, wildlife. Read a lot. I think don't be restricted in what you do. Just be very holistic in your approach and learn, be curious about everything around you actually. I think that is what will really take you far rather than just being very focused on one particular area of study. And so I think I'm here first. Why don't you introduce yourself as well?
So, good afternoon, everyone. Yes, and thanks for this opportunity to Shivling and also the Siksha and Anusandhan University for doing a program like this for motivating or trying to motivate you people so that we science need you, science or STEM needs you more than you need to go and work towards that area. The things that we have been all have been telling. But I think this is my personal opinion that science needs you. So with that, I am right now a joint PhD scholar at the Manchester University and IIC Bangalore. I'm working on climate science and 50% of climate science, 50% of AI and something interdisciplinary area. And I have been a Chevening scholar in the year 2022 and 23. And yeah, so that's a bit about me. More as we talk, because that's what we are here for. I will try to share my experiences as Supriya ma'am will give me the space to kind of tell you what the chevening experiences was, how the chevening means to a person more than a scholarship.
Great, thanks a lot, Amia. So I think we'll stand now and sort of speak with you. So I think the one thing that binds all of our speakers and all of our guests actually today as well. I think we've got four guests from the University of Oxford as well. They're sitting right in the front, and they've all been speaking with you. So I think what binds all of us together is cheating. And I'm hoping that all of you are curious enough now to sort of find out what cheating is also all about. So, can I ask a question to all of you? Is anybody here who's really interested in studying in the UK? If you could just show me a set of hands, please. How many of you really want to study in the UK?
Raise up your hand.
Okay, not hands there. How many of you
More,
expect more? How many of you want to study in the UK on a fully funded scholarship? Oh, there are more hands now.
After the
Great. Yeah. So, okay, let me now ask you to. It's all about reflection. We'll tell you about the scholarships. We'll tell you about how you can get there and how you can get your fully funded scholarship as well. But I think before that, let's do a little bit of an exercise in trying to visualize ourselves as students who are already studying in the UK. So just close your eyes for a moment. Think of yourself studying in one of the finest universities in the UK, maybe Oxford or Cambridge or whichever university that you can think of. Think of yourself walking into a classroom there. You've got books in your hands. You're surrounded by students from across the world. Uh, Everybody is interested in listening to you. When you speak, everybody is listening. You have your own perspective. You are a leader. Think of all of that. Think of your experiences in the UK. And then a year later, when you finish your studies and you return back to India, then think of what is it that you would like to do when you bring back that knowledge, when you bring back that information. I think a lot of us sometimes don't really think and don't spend a lot of time in imagining what it is that we want to do in our lives. And that's what cheapening actually makes you think. It makes you think about what impact do you want to make, what do you want to do when you return? I'm going to go back to Amir right now because Amir is a very recent Chevening scholar and he had a dream. After he shared his dream, I would hope that at least one or two of you would just share your dream about what is it that you want to change, whether it's in your country or it's in your state, or even if just things that you see around you. What is it that you want to change? So, Amir, first, let's go to your story.
So I hope the story interests everyone or inspires many at least. It started with the place where I come from. I come from a very small town area. Uh, People know a lot about Kolkata, but then there are a lot of areas apart from Kolkata in West Bengal, which people are not aware of. So I come from such an area named Bhubaneswar. From the very childhood, I was very fascinated because there was the Ganga was flowing beside my house. However, from that very childhood again, I have seen at a personal level as well as other people's standing in line, queue, in order to collect enough daily water for everyone. So at that time, I was very naive to understand more, but I just a simple question came in my mind that is there not enough water? Then why I see a lot of water in the river? So what's the main problem of water crisis? Is it about governance? Is it about not enough management? Or we do not have facilities? But as I said that I was very young to think of lot that time, but that passion was with me. And but for financial reasons, I had to take a job, and I started doing the job. After a certain year of time, it was in the year of 2020, I started feeling that no, I am not a suitable, like I am not being able to connect myself with this MNC job or the professional field. And I want to come back to academia because that goal always used to come to my dreams that why don't I solve the crisis? Why don't I try to solve the crisis? Why don't I contribute to that crisis? And I think my story begins from that particular area when I tried to change my direction. I have been pushed towards a direction, but I said that no, I will write my own story from there. And then I reached out to Chevening, then I reached out to UK universities trying to get the offer letters, then securing a fully funded scholarship from there.
Thank you, Amya. So anybody like Amya identified a crisis, he wanted to sort of resolve it. Is there anybody who wants to share with us anything that you think is a concern and you want to resolve it? So even if you don't have an answer now, we hope that we put that little seed in your minds about thinking about what is it that you really want to do in your lives. And I think that is what tuning is all about. The application process, what we ask in the interview, it's all about that. It's all to make you think, make you reflect on what is it that you want to do as a leader. How will you become a leader? How have you already been a leader in the past? How do you want to build your relationships? How do you want to collaborate with people across the world? Because when you are studying on achieving scholarship, you will be meeting with people from around the world. 160 countries are of achieving. So you have scholars from across all of these countries. So start thinking and what you want to study. Please don't let the peer pressure affect you in terms of, okay, my friend's studying a particular course and that's why I should study the same. Know what you want to do and then choose your courses accordingly. So Chevening is the UK government's fully funded scholarship. It is one of the most prestigious scholarships in the world. It's fully funded. We pay for your tuition, we pay for your travel, we pay for your accommodation, your daily stipend. So we make sure that the scholars don't have to pay even a penny when they are in the UK. They go to the UK to study a 1 year master's program. So you can do any postgraduate in any university in the UK and in any course that you wish to study. And if you go to the Chevening website, you will find there are more than 10,000 courses that are on offer that you can choose from and over 150 universities that you can choose from. So look at this broad spectrum of options that are available to you, and these are all fully funded as well. So I think on the application processes, I'll just sort of very briefly tell you. It's the applications open in August every year. It's a 2 month long window. It opens from August to October, and there are some very simple SOPs. All the things that I've already spoken about, questions on leadership, on relationship building, etc., that you need to write about. Very short essays, about 250 to 300 words. And when you're writing those essays, you need to sort of reflect. So make sure when you write, you think and you write. You don't just finish, doing something at the last minute. You actually give it a lot of thought. Amia, any sort of suggestions, comments from you on when you wrote your application? What was the thought process, and do you want to share anything?
Something I would like to start with, Matt, is when we, at least my experience, when we try to apply for the scholarships, and then we look for other previous achieving alumni and all, and when we see their profile, we feel that we do not have enough credibility within us in order to crack this scholarship. We do not have done enough leadership things to crack through this process. For my case, it was different. I started writing my leadership essays, particularly saying a very simple thing, that leadership in me started from my school level when I was giving the school captain badge. And I started influencing people through those from that time. So that's how leadership started for me. So it is as simple as that to me. I feel like, be honest about your experiences, be specific about your experiences, and one good suggestion that is that let Chevening panel decide whether you have the potential or not. Do not try to judge yourself while writing this application. We often end up judging ourselves while writing this application that we are not good fit enough. Let them do that. And second thing, ma'am, another thing I would like to point is we are given 500 at our time. I think in last year it has been minimized to 300 words or something for each of the essays. So in 300 words, you try to write as much as possible. And that's some mistake I think people does while writing cheaply. It is about if you have six leadership points, try to choose the one that best fit your career plans, that best fit why you are trying to go to UK. So you build the story in a way so that when a person reads your entire essay from leadership, then networking, then why UK, and then the career plan, they understand or they get a holistic picture of you, not just data and information, because just information is very boring until it becomes a knowledge to the other person. So that's something I share.
Thank you, Amir. Eligibility. Now, I'm sure this is something that is playing in your minds as well about what is the eligibility. So it's really simple. You need to be a citizen of India in this particular case. You need to have finished your undergraduation. How many of you here have finished your undergraduation? Correct. So quite a few of you. And the third criteria is that you need to have 2 years of work experience. And the work experience is after your undergraduation is complete. And the experience could be of any kind. It could be full-time work, it could be voluntary work, it could be part-time work, paid, unpaid internships, any kind of work. You need to have 2 years of that. So for those of you who are still doing your undergraduation, I think it's about time you start thinking along those lines of what the requiremements are if you are interested in applying for a Chevening scholarship. So start thinking about how you can start to think of internships, think of doing some work after your degrees. So that is just once again for those of you who are still in the process and time flies. Before you know it, you will be ready to actually apply for the Chevening scholarships as well. So that's for the eligibility. A few myths that I think we're often asked this question about. Since this is a whole session on women, about women, how many women do we have in Chevening? So I think all along we've had far more women in Chevening than we've had men. So women have been more successful in terms of a higher percentage. If we were just speaking of statistics, who have applied for Chevening and who have been given the award. In fact, one of our programs, which is a science and innovation program, we've actually had a batch where we've had 75% women and 25% men. We were actually struggling trying to create a balance then by bringing in more men as well. So this is for all the women out there. Please do apply. The second myth is often about a scholarship as prestigious as Chevening. If you are in a tier 2, tier 3 city, if you are not in some of the big metros, do you have a chance? So I want to once again sort of talk about break that myth as well. In the scholarships, we have about 60 to 70% of these scholars that are chosen currently, and I think it's going to be much higher this time. Are from our scholars from tier 2, tier 3 cities, many of them from marginalized communities, many of them who are first generation learners. So please do not think that you are any lesser just because you're not in one of the big metro cities. I think there is so much more talent, there is so much more passion that we found that exists in the smaller towns and cities as well. So do apply for Chevening, give that a chance. Anything else, Amia, in terms of you spoke about a challenge as well, and if there's so that's really good actually. So I think I often say that Chevening is not merely a scholarship. Actually, Chevening is a lot more than that. So in the 1 year that Chevening scholars spend in the UK when you're doing your post graduation, we hold your hands through this entire year that you're there in the UK. So for those of you probably who've never traveled abroad or you've never been alone, Chevening sort of treats you like a larger family. We make sure that we create a lot of opportunities for you outside of the classroom as well, where we make sure that you network, you build relationships, because that's the whole essence of Chevening. It's not just about taking you from one classroom into another. It's about helping you become very holistic in your viewpoint, in meeting people, in collaborating as you go forward, and in really becoming true leaders. So I'm going to ask Amya to tell you a little bit about what that 1 year looked like for him, especially outside of the classroom.
So that 2022 was a very special year for me because I was traveling to UK for the first time in my life. That was just like a dream coming true to like many of you sitting over there. I had been a big fan of EPL, English Premier League, if anyone wants it from here. And then I thought that okay, I will be the person who would be going and watching a match in Manchester United or let's say Liverpool or some other place. So that itself was a very, very big dream coming true for me. Apart from that, I would like to also highlight to some points and how Chevening has actually helped me through that 1 year and even later as well. So during that 1 year, it is not about the money that you are getting. Ma'am spoke about that you will get enough money for everything you do over there. But it's just not about the money actually. It's about an opportunity that just comes once in your probably lifetime. So first, when you get the scholarship and when you reach in UK, it instills a kind of confidence in you. It makes you start believing in yourself and your idea, because your idea got selected for some because there was enough credibility, and then you try to push yourself towards that idea, and as you have now a lot of confidence, you start succeeding in those areas as well. This is what happened to me, I feel. Can be psychological, but this is what happened to me. Apart from that, the network that Chevening provides, it provides a very diverse and rich network over that and like-minded people. So you don't actually have to now go out to find people who are working in your particular area. Let's say for me, it was climate, it was for me, it was water. There were many people who were working on water management, water governance, climate, and Chevening organizes such kind of networks throughout the year in UK at different places, basically. So you can actually meet these kind of peoples, grow your network. One benefit I got, ma'am, from such a networking actually, in one of such networking, we were actually discussing about what kind of work I do, what I'm interested about. Someone told me that, oh, there is a very good summer school happening in Geneva, and that was actually happening in United Nations. So that was the time, and it was a dream for me to somehow someday work or at least go to United Nations. So from that particular networking, I got to know about that opportunity, I applied, and luckily I got selected for that, and I got a UNESCO grant, and I traveled to Geneva. So that's how you see it is just not a scholarship that allows you to read and study in UK. It starts creating opportunities for you from particularly that point. One last example I would give. Even after when you come back, when you complete your Chevening 1 year and you come back to India, they don't leave you actually. See, they are carrying me here as well because I have been a Chevening scholar. So my current PhD, which is a joint between Manchester and AIC, even I got to know about this through one of the programs that Chevening was organizing. In Bangalore, there was a tech summit happens. Every year in Bangalore, there's a tech summit happens. I was invited there. So the Chevening then took all the Chevening fellows and alumni to IIC Bangalore. For some reason, there was a stop on cybersecurity. In that particular program, I got to know about this joint collaborative program. And now I am pursuing that particular PhD. So I wanted to highlight this particular point that it is not a scholarship. It's an opportunity that can change your actually life, can change your way how you see life and see world. So that.
Thank you, Amir. So, and please remember, this is not some sort of a promotional, bit that we're doing about these scholarships. Yeah, absolutely. This is a lived experience here, and I think the reason I speak about it so passionately also is because I wish when I was your age, someone had come and spoken to me about this particular scholarship, because it's almost over about 40 years old that it's been offered in India. And for many years, actually, people like me were completely oblivious that this was an offer. This was such a generous offer where I had the opportunity to study in the UK on a fully funded scholarship. So that's the only reason I really feel that the more people I can speak with, the more I can tell our young people about this scholarship, the better it is, and it'll be like transformational, like Amira said. Now, in addition to the scholarships, we also have for those of you who are probably faculty here, or for those of you who are researchers and slightly more senior. We also have these short-term fellowship programs, which are about 8 to 12 week long. These are a little more thematic. These are for people with about 7 to 10 years of work experience. We've chosen certain sectors like science and innovation, leadership and excellence, cybersecurity that Amia spoke about, and also journalism. So we also have these short-term programs in these four sectors. They go to some of the leading universities in the UK. Two of our programs are actually run at the University of Oxford.
we've got the program director, Richard Bryant here, who runs both of our science and innovation and the leadership fellowship. So these are the fellowships also. So I would strongly urge all of you to go to the Chevening page, take a look at what the offers are as far as India is concerned, and really make use of it because it's generous and it's really is going to change your lives and the lives of people around you. And there is no ask. As far as the UK government is concerned, we actually have no ask other than sometimes drag our alumni to talk to more young people. Other than that, of course, we have absolutely no ask from our alumni as well. So give it a thought and all the very best. And I hope that there will be many more applications from you when you get there, and many of you who are already there in the coming years as well. So all the best, and you're also very conscious now that we are the only ones keeping you between the tea break. So I think, anything that you'd like to sort of add to this?
So I think I mostly covered about my experiences and all, but one thing I actually forgot to tell, which is the very first question, and which is very relevant today. So as I was saying that about the problem that I saw, I wanted to change the problem. Today, in today's context, it seemed more important because when there is a water crisis, I think women are at the front line of those problems. I have seen that it just came to my mind. I have seen in many movies, especially in Bollywood movies as well. I've seen they have romanticized this particular fact that woman has carried water in their head and for walking for miles and miles. I felt it should not be romanticized. It is a crisis, and they are walking for 3 hours, 4 hours, which makes them more vulnerable to different sort of possibilities, and it's taking away their time. So I feel in today's context it's more important that we come up, and women specifically, those who are at the front line, they should come up and try to solve the crisis of water, the climate, environment, conservation, these things. So again, these are all related to STEM. You don't think these are at all different. It's basically depending on physics, chemistry, maths. So once you know these subjects, then you can actually, in your higher education or study, you can go into these areas and create a real change on the ground, basically. Yeah.
Thank you, Amir, for coming and sharing your story. And thank you, everyone. It's an absolute pleasure to speak with all of you. I'm really, really delighted to be here today and given this opportunity to speak about GPIC. Thanks a lot.
I have undergone this kind of trauma. While pursuing PG and PhD, postgraduate and PhD, I got a teaching assistant in Wisconsin Medicine, Louisiana State, South Australian University, Netherlands, and research protocol in Bangkok. Frankly speaking, having done all these things, and GRE, money was so much problem with my father, from Richmond's family. One way ticket I had, sustenance money I didn't have. So I never could visit during my studies. So please, friends, wake up. These are the opportunities. You must make your dream come true when you come back to serve your motherland with pride and dignity. It's not just a chance, it's the opening of whole new life for you. Thank you very much, ma'am, for doing this. And I believe we should carry forward with our students. So you will disseminate them in this kind of thought. And also you said about the young professionals, our teachers, faculties, who will definitely try to open up and have a discourse. And I assure you, ma'am, we will be a partner with you definitely. Thank you.
Brilliant.
Thank you. Amir.
Thanks.
এখানে বাংলা ছেলেরা আছে বাঙালি ছেলেরা থাকলে লাগবে বুঝেছেন now now before we break, may I call on stage our director of Hotel Incubation Center, one of our mentors, one of our founders, one of the key persons in this university, Professor Anusandhan Malikji. I request our Vice Chancellor, Anita ma'am, to kindly join us on the and I slide here to be back in India.
Getting on the thoughts. Yeah.
Please hold on for a moment. It's a warming session. We finish the just over here. Natalia, I see there. Okay. Landry is also not there. Richard Grant, please, Emeritus Fellow, St. Cross College University of Oxford. Please come on stage, put your hands together for Richard Grant. Long, energetic. Sir, most welcome, sir. Can I have on stage Rory Carnage, artist photographer, University of Oxford, UK. Would you have together for the young people? We have really had a travel to the same. Then I have also what we are telling me, roaming brilliant MBE, results. Change your chair. Put your hands together. You know, may I have on stage Miranda Creswell, artist University of Oxford, UK. Thank you, sir. Let's have a small break of 10 minutes for a hot cup of tea and be back here for the next technical systems. So lunch is arranged for all of us here. We'll have the sessions. Right now we'll have a tea, we'll have lunch, we will have a day together. It's that's an awesome. Yeah, yeah. We hit the ground. I didn't ask you. Really, what? You didn't have to ask him. So I was. You're a man. It's like bullshit. Therefore, secondary function. Yeah, see. Speaking for yeah, when I speak for term, Yeah, that's that. I can get no. That's भाई मेरा तो मैं एक ही नहीं था मैंने मैं और एक सोच करके हम आपको बहुत सारा मैंने आपको कहा था क्या फोटो देने हाँ 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 बोल लिया ना फोन फोन से लिया है कैमरा से भी लिया है उससे भी लिया गया है बट वो कॉर्नर से लिया है हाँ वो फोन वाला मुझे व्हाट्सएप कर दो ना प्लीज ठीक है आपके फोन से लिया है ये और एक दोस्त अच्छा ठीक है आएगा तो उसे बोलो ठीक है हाँ सर ये इसके बाद चाय के बाद हाँ ठीक है watch and call it back. Right? In 10 minutes, right? Promotion royal fake mochi. Jame kochimu apostiki understand no. जो मैंने रही है समस्त ऑनलाइन सर्टिफिकेट डॉक्यूमेंट जरूर right? From Canada, those starts not very. Please come back. But then what is the special coordination? If it's a kid, then it wasn't allowed to. Just for them to do it, okay, this is the correct.
That the volunteers will come to you and you have to scan the QR code which is generated by us. All the participants, those contact details we will give those certificates to them only. And please make sure that you have scanned those and you have connected or as a follower, you are there in our channel. That is mandatory for everyone. So after breakfast, please come to your place and the volunteers will come to you and the QR codes will be scanned by you.
Yes. Really committed. Wasn't very involved.
Child, why did you do that? Yeah, it's what's modifications? Yeah, okay. Yeah. Sorry. First, put the first picture. It's Richard is the Look at the story. Well, maybe it's just one. It's right. It's Access is last possible thing. One of the options is or stop to the opportunity for have you seen how the terms to continue to the because I know we're a bit behind. Right? So sure. What's right? Is this the right relationship? Being like it's the right of the planet. Certain kind of
I'm going to back over to that achievement. Okay, yeah. Can I leave that up? Thanks. Hello, hello. Meant to hold it close. So it's not on that there. Yeah? Okay, very good. Well done, well done. Well done. Big full house. Appreciate it. Bye. Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you, thank you. Thank you. It's fine. I know actually what to do. You know, it's still not just it's perfect. Yes. Oh, yeah. That's a better resolution, isn't it? Yeah. Whatever. It's pretty good. No, no. I think it can be. No, it's yeah, it's getting yeah. Yeah, yeah, really.
Sense there, yeah. Pardon? Right. So, are you sure that? Okay.
No.
Ruby, you wake up every day. Because we would go every night after the college. Yeah. We would go to the bar. We would do talking. And then we would dance. And do dance like did you? Did you? Yeah. Like after concerts. We're back to college, right? Yeah. So going back to college and pleasure. Very nice. It was awesome. So when we didn't even think about judgment, we didn't even think about money. Like free. 10, like you mean, think about the especially friendship. We all have a that is something. It's and it all that. Go back, like I know after have a beautiful trip, and I get out. And then like somewhere there, so you know that true there. And I don't worry. I'm saying, why did you like what I was? You never go down there. That's part of this. I don't want to be there, but follower, but you can't stop your shame with the class. I'm going to start.
Team volunteers will go outside to please gather the students inside within a minute or two. We are going to start the session. It will be quite interesting, interactive, and learning. I request student volunteers to please inform. So we're starting within a minute or
Yeah, you just finish it and then.
hello. 1, 2, 3. Students can be us.
No, I'm not just after the last one. Yomi and you are the last ones here. So it's anyway about 12 and 20 minutes. It's not forward. You should just.
Yeah. First, this is going to be definitely different and interesting. The ambience is all set. It's like watching a movie, right? Ambience is all set. It is visual storytelling, which perhaps we didn't
No, I like this book because the piece is to
see. And now we'll be definitely getting that first. And the storytellers are Richard Grant, Emeritus Fellow, St. Cross College, University of Oxford, UK, and Rory Carnegie, artist photographer, University of Oxford, UK. Both of them are seated here. Can I have a round of applause for them, friends? Start most welcome. And I think what's being this thing, we should start on the journey. Friends, let's maintain utmost silence. Let's enjoy the show. And please close the door. Whoever is coming will come. Right? So the stage is all yours.
Thank you and welcome back from tea. I'm sorry to interrupt your concert. I was really looking forward. Laura and I were both going to dance, but as we won't.
Go on.
There are 4 of us from Oxford, as you've seen, and we're all really glad to be here and very grateful for being invited and for the fantastic welcome that we've had and felicitations. So thank you. It's a real joy for me to see and meet again so many of our fantastic Chevening fellow alumni who are talking to you during the day. They're Chevening fellows are very popular in Oxford. Everybody who interacts with them really enjoys meeting them, the conversations we have. So I hope over lunch you will all take as much opportunity as possible to talk to the fellows and to us from Oxford. So this session is about visual storytelling.
And I know, and if Kamal was here, I'd say I'm going to keep quiet because I know somebody who can do it better than me. So you're going to hear from Rory in just a second. But first, I want to say 2 or 3 things about the University of Oxford. You'll all know it's a very old, long-established university. It's famous for education, scholarship, dictionaries, and we have a fabulous alumni, including Chevening Alumni. I want to bring the story up to date a bit. The university has been for a long time committed to diversity and inclusion. And change takes time, as somebody said this morning. But the position at the moment in Oxford, rather like here, as the Vice-Chancellor says, we have more than half our students are women, 52%. At the senior level, again, as the Vice-Chancellor said, many deans and heads of department are women. Our Vice-Chancellor, who is the head of the university, is a woman, as was her predecessor. Oxford has lots of colleges. Half of those are headed by women. And that's been, while I've been working at the university 35, 30 years, been a gradual change and a change for the better. Probably in terms better for outcomes for the university as a whole. We get top of rankings, that sort of thing. But it's what I'm more conscious of it. The improvement in it's a pleasant, more and more pleasant place to work with normal interactions, and it's good because students appreciate it, and it's a very friendly, welcoming environment. So more women. We're very international. We have 600 students from India, so come and join them. The other thing I want to say, which is again very short, but we've always had scholarship, as I've mentioned. We, of course, have research, and the research is curiosity-driven in most cases, but goes on into, we're very keen to address pressing contemporary issues and problems. The climate emergency is an obvious one. So too, and this is my last example, we've been hearing about viruses. We're very proud, and in Oxford, with very quick developing a COVID-19 virus. 2 teams led by Professors Sarah Gilbert and Andy Pollard. And as you know, the Oxford vaccine was created and developed and produced in exceptionally short time. And I would just round the circle by saying Andy Pollard, who is at the college where all that, is always very pleased to talk to the Chevening scholars, Chevening fellows. So that's it from me. Now we hand over to the expert.
Hello. Rory. Can you? I'm not used to using a microphone because my voice is so loud. Right. But I will. Is that about the right volume? No. It's not working.
That is. This is working now. Yeah.
That's working. Okay.
Go closer, Rory. Closer.
Even too close. Okay. I thought that I would open my presentation with a photo by Homai Diawala, who is recognized as the mother of Indian photojournalists. She was working from the 1930s and photographed many of India's defining moments. I'm not sure that this is a defining moment, but it is quite good fun. It's a Keep Fit class in New Delhi in 1945. Sorry, I'm just already... Okay, here we go. So, my name is Rory Carnegie. I'm a professional photographer of 40 years standing, and for the last 8 years, I have been working on the Chevening Fellowship, teaching photography and visual storytelling. What is visual storytelling? Well, we all tell stories to each other. It's how we communicate. And usually, we use words. Here, I'm going to suggest to you another tool, telling stories using images, principally photographs. We are living in an increasingly post-Gutenberg visual world, and it's important to understand this medium so that you'll be able to use it to help people to understand your work and who you are as an individual. What people remember is stories. People ask, what is a story? Well, the cat sat on the mat is a fact. The cat sat on the other cat's mat. That is a story. It's an account of an event with a bit of a plot in a setting with a theme. I spoke with Ridvika, a Chevening alumni, recently. She's an AI expert by trade, but a great photographer, and produced some beautiful work when she was in Oxford. She said that when she was growing up, careers like photography weren't really an option. I'm very glad to see that that's changing. What I'm going to do in this very short session is show you a few images that I have made, introduce you to a few images with which I hope to illustrate the idea of the visual story. I'm going to give you some photographic tips, and I'm going to show you a few pictures by some women photographers that I admire. Right. I want to go to the next slide. Okay. Fantastic. Okay. First up are a few images made by me to heighten awareness of modern slavery in the UK, a project commissioned by the British government. They gave me free rein to interpret the brief, the only proviso being that I highlight the different sectors where this heinous crime was taking place. So there was sex trafficking, the meat industry, fishing, construction, etc. Originally, I thought that I would embed myself with the different sectors, but it became clear that there would be security issues from this approach. Not so much for me, but for the people that cooperated with me. If, for instance, I spent time in a brothel, there's a likelihood that the women that helped me would suffer some form of retribution. So we reconstructed the images with actors. The work was shown in large illuminated cubes, which were positioned in public spaces like railway stations, shopping centres, main plazas, etc., and shown in 12 major UK cities. Whenever the work was shown, it would be accompanied by several national crime officers who would assist with any questions regarding modern slavery. And I believe that the work resulted in several cases of people being freed from slavery. So this first picture shows the sex industry. I like to create some ambiguity in my work, and I was intending that the blur spectre figure would draw the viewer in. What is it? Is it another prostitute? Is it a punter? You decide. Is there a button I can use to fast forward? That button. Okay, then. Which one goes to the next page? Okay, fantastic. Okay. So this was a major railway station in London, UK, and there were 2 or 3 of these cubes positioned around the space. Okay, fishing, construction. Again, I used blur to foster an idea of ambiguity and small bits of primary colour with a greyish surround. With work like this, one has to get people to look at it so that they may act. I wanted to show how awful the life of a modern slave was, but I didn't want to repulse the viewer. I wanted them to be curious, intrigued. If the work was too unpleasant, people will steer past and carry on their shopping or their travel or their day-to-day business. I want to get people to stop, look, and to engage. When making this particular body of work, we sought a lot of advice from people who had direct experience of these crimes. And one thing that was highlighted was this idea of creating an alter ego as a coping strategy. If the victim could create a fictitious persona, i.e. here, a woman with blue hair and a completely different look, it might help them to deal with the pain and the hideousness. So, what do I think makes a good photograph? A good photograph tells a story. A good photograph has emotional impact. And a good photograph makes one think or act. Here are a few visual stories as examples. This is a photo. This is a photo from 1986 taken in Santiago, Chile by Kino Lorenzini. It's a photo entitled Mujeres por la Vida. That means, in Spanish, women for life. And it highlights women's role in leading human rights protests in the fight for democracy in South America after the military dictatorships. But not all images have to be so direct. This is an image by Halumi Basu, excuse my pronunciation. In 2023, she was commissioned to explore the impact of sport and Olympic values education on school children in addition. She's a very interesting storyteller that likes to blend the real and the fantastical to create what she calls speculative documentary. She said that she wanted to focus on girls that often faced gender barriers. Got a bit of a distance going on here. The collection that she produced, this is another from the series, celebrates sport and the creative process built on dialogue and collaboration as a means of empowering young people. But this is also a story by Araki Kumarao, whose work deals with conservation, and by the same woman photographer, here fishing in the Sundarbans. And a little quote from her: "I don't try to fool myself that the stories of individuals are themselves arguments. I just believe that better arguments, maybe even better policies, get formulated when we know more about ordinary lives." Okay, so now I'm going to give you some photographic tips. Okay, now, today, many of you take photos using your phones. Now, my phone camera, is not very sophisticated, as far as I know. I haven't bothered to explore. I'm unwilling to explore, because I like taking pictures with a proper camera. But I do know that some phone cameras do allow you to change the aperture and the shutter speed. So if you have this control, you can play, firstly, with your depth of field. The depth of field is the depth within your image of what is in focus. So here, you have a boy doing a backwards leap, and the crowds clustered around a large boulder in the background. Everything is in focus, so it's got a very big depth of field. Okay? By shutting down the aperture on your camera, making it f/22, you increase the depth of field, as in this picture. This is by a woman photographer called Dimpy Balotia. So the smaller the aperture, the greater the depth of field. Another point about this particular picture is she was using a wide angle lens. That increases the idea of distance between the foreground and the background. Okay, another depth of field. And also in photographs, when you're trying to tell stories, I think humour is really important. And this is quite funny, as the dog is about to eat the man. This is an image by an Indian photographer called Raghavir Singh of women sheltering during the monsoon. This is the complete opposite of the previous image. Here, he has softened the background by opening up the aperture say F2, creating a very shallow depth of field, so that the viewer just concentrates what's in the foreground. You're not distracted by the background. He's also using a long lens, unlike the previous picture, and you can tell this by the fact that all the people in the image are roughly with the same proportion. So the lady in the sari there and the lady just behind her, everyone is the same size. If you are using a wide-angle lens, the disproportion increases the closer you get to the near subject. Okay, I've included this image to illustrate a technique called panning, which is to suggest speed. Here, the vehicle is roughly sharp, but the background has this movement blur. This is done by choosing a slowish shutter speed, say 1/30th, and then tracking the vehicle and pressing the shutter when the subject is in the right place and continuing the tracking movement. So you're going like that, your cyclist is there, your motorcyclist there, go like that, press the shutter and carry on. So you go like that. So it's sort of what we call a tracking movement. Right? That's right. Okay, very good. Okay. The obvious lesson to be had from this photo is to seize the moment and press the shutter. Why I think this particular image works is that the main focus, i.e. the girls on the screen, are set against a relatively neutral background, and they can be seen clearly. If that background on the back had been busier, they would have been lost. And I also like the fact that it seems that the rest of the people are pretty unconcerned, apart from the younger girl in the orange dress. I think you can see her, and the young boy to her left, who are watching keenly. Another seize the moment picture by the same photographer we saw earlier called Digby Balotia. Shortly, again, in a few minutes, I'm going to talk about my 5-second rule. But sometimes there just isn't 5 seconds to spare, and you just need to clear it. Always be ready. This is a picture by another photographer. She works a lot for the New York Times magazine. She's called Sumaya Khandelwal. And this is a story she did called The Kung Fu Nuns of Nepal. Okay, so the 5-second rule. This is before you take a photograph, okay? And this is with your mobile phones, whatever. Give yourself 5 seconds to ask yourself some questions, okay? As I've said, there are times when you don't have 5 seconds. And in those situations, the car's going off the cliff, you just take the picture. But for the other times, 5 seconds in which you can ask yourself a range of questions. Am I in the right place? Am I too near? Am I cropping out important features? Am I too far away? The most common problem. Remember, zooming in is not the same as being close. Whenever I have students recording a scene, and I'm talking about my Gurukul and Chris colleagues who are here today, the most common problem is they were always a bit far away. Natural inclination to hold back. Should I be higher? Should I be lower? A bit to the left, a bit to the right? I can't tell you the number of pictures that I have seen that could have been better if you just spent 5 seconds thinking about it. Okay? Now, the reason I'm showing this particular picture is it's a technique by the photographer Sumaya Khandelwal. She uses to get viewers to look where she wants them to look. She finds what she calls incidental frames. Here she wants you to look towards the man pushing the scrap metal as seen through the door frame. As photographers, you can use arches, doorways, windows, anything you find around to direct the viewer where you want them to look. Okay, this is a photo of attempt to shore up defences in the Sundarbans by Anusri Fagnavis. I've been asked many times, what's the correct way to compose a landscape? And all I can say is there's no correct way. There are certain conventions which change over time. A classical landscape, say, will divide the image into 3 horizontal parts, and the bottom third show the land, and the top 2/3 the sky, or vice versa. That is to say, 2/3 land on this, you've got roughly 2/3, and 1/3 sky. Another very important consideration is the sun and daylight, the light source. Now, I'm sorry if this is obvious, but it's really worth thinking about. Ask yourself, is this the right time of day to take this photograph? Will it be better when the sun is lower, when the sun comes out, when the sun goes down? The gloaming, what many refer to as that golden hour, that time between sundown and darkness. Do I want to shoot into the sun and make much of what is in front of me into a silhouette? If I'm photographing people, if the sun is in their eyes, they will squint. Give yourself those precious few seconds. Just always remember where the light is. Okay, so to conclude, it's going to be a few more pictures. I'm going to show you a few pictures from some photographers whose work I greatly admire. Firstly, Sumaya, she does lots of things, and look her up, she's brilliant. Firstly, Sumaya Kandalwala, who's worked for the National Geographic, Time magazine, everything. Here, a story on pollution in the Yamuna River. That's an incredibly powerful picture. As you know, a very sacred river that has a very real problem with pollution. And this is a series by a photographer, these are all women by the way, obviously, Gauri Gill, which comes from her long engagement with poor communities in rural Rajasthan. The work is called Notes from the Desert. Gill's work emphasizes her belief in working with and through communities and what she calls active listening. She has been working on this project for more than 2 decades, and her work recently won a major international prize called the Prix Pictet. This is Karima and Nibli in a home destroyed by flooding due to extra rain. And lastly, I'd like to end with Laura Panak, a London-based photographer. Now, every photographer has a particular way of fueling their own creativity. And Laura has her photo walks, which are photographic scavenger hunts of sorts. Panak says that for most of my walks, my main aim is just to head off and have no expectation of what lies ahead. I mentioned this photography as I propose to set you all of you, some informal homework. Everyone in the program as well, by the way. When you leave today, start thinking like an artist. You can be both an artist and a scientist. What was it that Einstein said? Imagination is more important than knowledge. Knowledge is limited. Imagination encircles the world. Start thinking about the visual stories that you could make with your camera phone. Go for a photo walk. You are all artists. And there I'm going to end. Thank you for listening and be creative. What's the
Thank you so much for this wonderful visual presentation, sir. So now I would like to take this forum to call sources and the stage, please.
Well, so it's an announcement. It's great. Sure. Whatever.
This one is not.
Several starting is a bunch to opportunity to see.
Hello. Yes. Hi. Once again, hi. I think you people may not wish to listen to me too much at that point because I've already talked a lot. But again, I set that context that time that why women should come forward and try to be a part of this fight against climate change, which is obviously a buzzword at this point. And since from very various aspect, one aspect that time I talked about that women carry water and had to bring water. There are several other aspect how climate change actually affects women. It affects their health more than it affects men. It affects their reproduction cycle more than it affects men. So there can be many such reasons why I feel, and along with the research community as well, feel that women should come forward in order to contribute towards the fight against climate science. So, given that context, I will try to share my research, what I am doing, in a very simple way, so that you people understand that how actually to get into this field of climate science. Having a background of STEM, having a background of physics, chemistry, or maths, PCM as we call it, having that background, how to actually think about contributing climate science. I will try to disseminate my research in a very simple way, not getting too much of details. So that's basically my research topic, upgrading climate models with physics informed AI for a water secure future. And you see the picture speaks a lot that what is happening to the groundwater. We are extracting excessive amount of water. Then the recharge rate of groundwater means the rain is the only sink to recharge the groundwater. And the amount of precipitations we are having, that is not enough in order to increase the recharge rate of the groundwater as much as we are extracting. So there must be some other sustainable ways in order to bring a balance between this, how much we are extracting and how much the recharge rate is happening inside. So that picture kind of tries to visualize that. Given that title, my name is Amir Kumar Sood. You have already known I am a joint PhD scholar at the University of Manchester and AIC. And my supervisors are Dr. Payman Babakani, Dr. Brahmadat Vishwakarma, and Dr. Xiaoming Zhu. So a bit about my timeline from a techie at heart to climate science. 2013 to 17, I did my BTech in computer science, as I was telling. Then I was working for next 3 to 4 years as a software engineer primarily, and then got promoted to data analyst. But I couldn't feel that it is the right cup of tea for me to stay in that professional field. So I decided to come back to academia. And it was in the year 2023 I was chosen for the Chevening Scholarship, and I did my MSc in data science during that time. And the leftmost picture in your screen is that time when I first went to High Commission and I met Supriya ma'am and also the British High Commissioner, and we had an incredible time over there. So after that, when I was in my masters, I also spoke a little bit about that. I got a chance to go to Geneva in the water governance program, and the second picture shows that when I was in the United Nations having like a program on how to see water. For me, when I wrote my PhD application, when I even did my master's thesis, to me water was a very much a technical lens. I always see water from a technical way. That I have some data, I can develop prediction model in that way. But actually, water crisis, water governance, these have various multifaceted lens through which we can actually see water, and then only that problem can be solved. We need diplomats in the same table where a water engineer probably is sitting. We need a scientist and as well as a policy maker in order to sit on the same table, and then we can solve such global catastrophic problems. So that's what I first learned or get to know when I went there and for my experience. And finally, I currently am doing a PhD in environmental engineering at this IIC and Bangalore thing. And the last picture is when I won a 3-minute thesis competition over there. I think there's some problem. Yeah, so the last picture was from that 3-minute thesis competition I won over there. So now moving on to the main topic. We no longer need to prove climate change is real. Uh, in this slide, I would focus on these two particular metrics, where on the left side you see the global surface temperature, how it is changing relative to 1850 to 1900, and it is from the report of IPCC, which is one of the main reports we often follow while we make those climate-related policies. And that green line is the Paris Agreement, where we have to keep our average temperature in order to have a sustainable and long lasting future for us. And probably for that reason, we need everyone to contribute in every possible way, not just coming into academia, but being aware about what climate change is, being having that awareness and having that eagerness to contribute to it. We should not throw waste in our soil, because we see sometimes we often see soil as a very dry and dead thing. But soil health of the soil is very important in order for to fight against the climate crisis. And the next right image is annual precipitation change. So you can see that some of the blue part, the dark blue parts are the ones which have the highest change of precipitation. It's not that they are receiving a too much of excessive precipitation. It's trying to show where the precipitation pattern has highly changed. So one thing is that climate change we often understand in simple terms is a global temperature rising, but it's not actually that. Climate change is something where at some point the temperature is rising. In other areas the temperature is falling extremely low. When there is a crisis of water at certain point, there can be a excessive amount of water. Let's say for example, Russia in last month only, there some buildings were under like the second up to floor it was under ice. So climate change is an alteration of what we generally knew about that should happen in the environment. And it completely then destroys our understanding of it and how to build resilient systems in order to tackle against that. Now, from statistics, that was what I was giving about like the data, statistics to observation. You see the glaciers melt, you see the forest fires, You see floods happening in India, specifically when we talking in context of India, we have actually seen that a lot of flash floods right now happening in areas like Uttarakhand, these areas. So we need to understand why these are things are happening, and you as young minds should come forward and join this force so that we have more people in this area, so that we can actually delve into several kinds of research, several areas of research, and everyone should be trying to kind of understand different causal relations, why this is happening, and what could be done in order to fight this crisis. And finally, the last image was it is from Bangalore crisis. Recently, few years back in Bangalore, there was a crisis of water. So people were having used to water tankers. Even in a city like Bangalore, which is considered as one of the high-tech cities of India. So because of some geographical locations of Bangalore, the water table is too low in Bangalore, and there is a lot of slope, so the water cannot be contained there. It flows down. So whatever, there are several reasons, but that's the crisis we are facing. Even in such cities where we are thinking that we're gonna build the next tech hub. Now we're gonna focus on some important questions like, shall we have sufficient water, then we will be able to produce enough food, because without water we cannot actually produce enough food to feed the entire population. And where and when people and ecosystem experience extreme events, because the weather patterns are changing, the prediction models or the weather models will not be able to predict these extreme events. And that's the reason when these flash floods are happening, because they have not happened previously, we cannot predict this kind of flash floods happening. We cannot understand, because unless we have data on what's happening in the previous time, we cannot predict it in the future. That's how most of the statistical models and even the right now the like the buzzword, the machine learning and AI models will not be able to predict unless we have previous knowledge about these things. So we need for that robust scientific frameworks to anticipate, plan, and adapt accordingly. So, what's the solution for this? There is a hope and there is a solution, obviously. And one of the solutions is what you can see in the left hand side. And that's where exactly I come in and my research comes. It's called ESM, Earth System Model. It's one of the humans made largest ever model. And it consists of the entire Earth like gridded structure. You can see the grid structures over there, and every kind of physical processes are considered within this grid. For example, let's focus on that particular grid. It is one small area where we will be doing some mathematical computations for convection, conduction, evapotranspiration, solar radiation, all the physical processes, all the chemical processes. So this is, for example, the model by NCAR, National Center for Atmospheric Research, where I am working, the model with which I am working, it has 2 to 3 billion lines of code. So that big the model is, and it is not possible for one person to understand and fix or work on that such kind of models. These models basically have land, this model have atmosphere, they have a separate river, and they all couple together. And when they couple together and when we try to simulate those models, these models gives us projections, and those projections then make the policies. Those projections then makes those IPCC report or such kind of reports. However, even with such large capacity and such sophistication in these models, as I said, because it considered the biogeochemistry, so it is considered in a technical term or research term that yet these sophisticated models comes with some challenges. What are those challenges? The first challenge is scale and data. Yesterday we had a session actually on climate and this last evening. So there was someone was telling that now we are focusing on enough amount of sensors. We are putting sensors in many areas and trying to collect those data from there. But still, there is a dearth of data, because these kind of models requires petabytes of data to run. So that large amount of data we still lack, and most of these sensor data are not very accurate sometimes. They are erroneous data. And with erroneous data, we only put noise inside models. We do not put knowledge inside models. Unless we put knowledge inside models, models will give us very wrong scenarios, very wrong outcomes, predictions, which we cannot believe actually. And second is scale. Scale of data matters. We now have very high resolution satellites. Like Sentinel-1 is one of the satellites which produces very captures the earth from space and takes those pictures. But even those kind of scales, like the best one, as I said, Sentinel, still have a lot of resolution issues. When we put those images inside models, the models basically cannot understand the difference between, let's say, a cropland or a normal land. So unless it understands the cropland and the normal land, the biogeochemistry between a cropland happening, the physics of the cropland and the normal land would not be same. The second is the computational cost of these models. As these are very huge models I was talking about, and with billions lines of code, the computational cost is very expensive. For example, when we try to understand that how much temperature it would be for next 5 years, and we have to run such a model, the model runs for 28 days, let's say, 27 days, and it consumes huge amount of resources. So these are not then sustainable in that way. We cannot run this model every time just to see. When we work, I am not sure if anyone here is working on ML or AI or such kind of models. If you are, then you might see sometime you get a prediction and you just try to do some changes to that model and try to run the model to get a better predictions. And that does not consume to you a lot of resource, but we cannot run these models continuously. We have to understand what's happening inside the models, and then only can run these models once or twice because they use so much of resource and space. So that's not sustainable. And the third is the subgrid parameterization. Very interesting part of subgrid parameterization. So I was talking about that every process is represented inside the grid, inside a grid. Inside those grids, every physical process, chemical process is represented. So when we try to represent these processes, there are many several processes. Let's say, for example, irrigation. For irrigation, we cannot explicitly represent them inside those grids. We have to parameterize those irrigation. Parameterize means we try to represent irrigation through a simple mathematical equation. And that mathematical equation cannot capture the various non-linearity of irrigation. What is the meaning of when I'm saying that non-linearity in irrigation? Let's say the farmer of India, the kind of practices they do in India is not same that farmers that in Indonesia, practices of farmers in Indonesia. And the farmers of Canada might have completely, or US might have completely different practices. For example, in India, flood irrigation is very common. And right now we are also switching to drip irrigation, which is optimized way of irrigation. But that flood irrigation may not be there in case of US. So we cannot put all these different linearities through simple equations inside those models. And we cannot put those things, then the model projections also have erroneous outputs. For example, when I ran my model during my first year of PhD, I found very large amount of biases. The left picture is showing two things: a latent hit. The upper one is about a latent hit, and the below the second one is sensible hit. Sensible is what? The heat that rises from the ground and you feel it. You feel, that's why sensible heat. The latent heat, it actually helps the atmosphere to cool down because it absorbs away that heat, but you don't feel it. That's the latent heat. So there are three, the blue line is the actual observation. Sorry, the black line is the actual observation, and the blue one and the red line are what the model has generated. So there is a huge amount of bias in these models. Similarly, on the right hand side graph, if you see, that's the total amount of irrigation water amount. There is also a huge amount of bias, as you can see, between the black line and the red. So as a solution, what I'm trying to do, or I will try to do in next 3 years of my PhD is a physics informed AI in order to replace those climate models that are computationally expensive and also has a lot of biases. Physics, AI, just AI cannot solve all problems. I have limitations of time, so I have to close it early. One thing is that many people are very much this buzzword about AI, and every problem can be solved by AI. But AI actually is a black box. We call it black box. So we do not trust AI at all because whatever you feed the AI, that only it can predict. Whenever the distribution of the data changes, we cannot understand AI at all. That's why we need physics to include. And probably with that, this is my last slide, and we can solve the kind of problems we had or we were discussing about. So yeah, that's it. And please feel free to reach out regarding chevening, regarding climate science, what kind of courses you may take, or anything, any kind of questions you have. Thank you.
You. Thank you, Amit. And thank you for calling me here. Hello, everyone. Uh, I don't want to stand there and talk to you because I'm not giving you, first of all, any kind of a very scientific presentation. I'm talking about emotions. So it's better I will sit here in front of you, directly connecting with you, and then talk to you. I'm happy that there are more girls here than boys. I want you to first, after so much scientific presentation of him, I want you to just take a break, breathe deep, and think about life. And then think about wildlife. I am Neetu Gupta. I work for wildlife conservation in central India, especially in Chhattisgarh. I am in your neighboring state. I am based in Raipur. So if you take a break and think about life and then wildlife, wildlife is wild plus life. And we are talking about emotions. I am here to talk about the feelings of wildlife. We always talk about the mother nature. So nature is a mother because it gives life, it gives emotions, it gives care. So that is what I am here for. And if you look into the wildlife, every animal gives you the example of a motherhood. If you talk about a tiger, which is a national animal, every tigress keeps her cubs for 2.5 years, teaching them to survive in the wild. If you talk about sloth bear, they carry their young ones for 2 years on her back, teaching them the survival in the forest. If you talk about a bird, even a mother hornbill is locked herself in her nest in the crevices, laying her eggs, and then after the eggs will be hatched, it is coming out from the nest. If you talk about the mother pangolin carries her baby in her tail. So science is there, wildlife is there because somewhere a mother is not ready to give up. So that is what I am working for. You all are very lucky that you are in Odisha. Odisha giving you double chance, double opportunity, and double responsibility to work for conservation, to work for nature. You have sea, you have terrestrial land, you have marine life, you have sea. So you can work either for dolphins, you can work for turtles, you can work for elephants, you can work for tigers, you can work for sloth bear because you are lucky enough that you have both terrestrial and marine wildlife in your area. If I talk about especially about Orissa, then Chilka Lake is there. You can talk about dolphins. So government is doing very good on the dolphin conservation. If you want, you can work there.
if you know, everyone knows that olive ridley turtles from Gulf of Mannar, from Tamil Nadu, they swim here till your Orissa border. They come to the beaches here and they do the mass nesting here. 2 days back, I was there to see the nesting of the turtles. Mother turtle came out at night, at midnight, after 12 to 4 in the morning. They came out, they make nest, they lay eggs, and then they go back to the sea. But they make nest. Besides that, they make another nest so that predators will get confused where the egg is. So that is what they do. Even after laying eggs, they want the security of the eggs. So they make another nest behind that or besides that to save the life. So that is what we are working. And you have a very good example of a Simlipal tigers, which are the black tigers, which is only in the Orissa. And if I talk about the signs with the feelings, then there is another lady, which is the first, which is the most first lady here in India, which is at the top of the tiger genetics. She is from NCBS Bangalore, Dr. Uma Ramakrishna. She did the whole research and studies on the tiger genetics in the country. So she is also a lady. For me, I work for wildlife conservation, as I told you, and my role is different. I do lots of things, but major forte is wildlife crime. I worked a lot on a wildlife crime, going to the forest, dealing with the poachers, coming when they are coming out with the wildlife contraband, arresting them with the enforcement agencies. So that is a different thing, but how you do it is a different thing, and how you do it in with the emotions. One example there of my life. My life is full of stories of all the cases, whatever I did. But there is one story which I want to share now here. Is we did one case, one seizure of a live pangolin in a Naxal affected area of Chhattisgarh. So in that team of whole forest team, there is me and there is one another lady who's a forest guard. She's young and we arrested the person with that. We were standing there in the forest waiting for other team to come so that we can hand over the cases to that team because that area is of another danger. And I realized after some time there are two persons who came in the bike and they were standing in one corner. They are keeping an eye on us because they are part of those team. If I tell this to a ranger or another any male member of that team, what they will do? They will just catch hold of that person. They will beat them, which I don't want. So I called that lady and I asked her, these people are here, they are keeping eye on us, and we need to get some information from them. We will not talk to them, but at least we will collect some evidences. So I went in front of that person who is waiting, who is there looking at us, keeping an eye on us. And I started posing and she started clicking my pictures as if I am modeling. But we are clicking picture of that person so that in future, if we want to arrest that person, we can arrest that person. We can have some identity of that person. There is a bike in which they came and that bike doesn't have a number. So we gave my phone to that person who was standing there. We took his bike and his bike we started posing. We asked him to make a reel and that person is making a reel and we are making reel in his bike so that we can get the picture of bike from every corner of so that we can get some kind of evidence in future if we want. So that is what I do, and that is what nature conservation or wildlife conservation are for me. And since Amay is talking so much about the data and AI and physics, I'll tell you one example of mine. I ask lots of questions when I go to the field and all. So when I was very young and I started working, I went to Jharkhand. This is very interesting story for you. I went to Jharkhand. Jharkhand is the elephant area. And when you move in the elephant areas, the only precaution you have to take is move not towards the direction of the air. From the where air is coming, you have to move opposite to the air so that elephants can't sense your presence. So there was one paddle guard. He's the lowest rank in the forest department. So that person is there, and he was telling we were going at night in the forest, and he said, "Stop! There is an elephant." And there was one elephant standing here only. And I asked him how you sense it, and how you will keep safe yourself when elephant is there. So he simply told me, हवा जहां से आ रही है उसकी उल्टी दिशा में खड़े रहो. And since I had asked lots of questions, I asked him कि how do you know कि हवा कहाँ से आ रही है? क्योंकि हवा हमेशा रहती है, लेकिन हमेशा स्पीड नहीं रहती उसकी कि आपको पता चले किस डायरेक्शन से हवा आ रही है. उसने मुझे कहा कि एक पत्ती उठाओ और नीचे फेंक दो, जिस तरफ गिरेगी हवा वहां से आ रही है. मैंने कहा कि पत्ती उठाने का टाइम नहीं रहे या पत्ती वहां नहीं हो सूखी तो क्या करेंगे? तो उसने कहा मिट्टी उठा के फेंक दो. क्योंकि मैं बहुत क्वेश्चन पूछती हूँ, तो मैंने उससे पूछा कि अगर मिट्टी जगह वैसी जगह नहीं हो जहां मिट्टी हो तो आपको कैसे पता करोगे? उसको इतने में समझ आ गया था कि मैं क्योंकि क्वेश्चन बहुत पूछ. उसने मुझसे सिर्फ एक चीज कहा, अपने मुंह में उंगली डालो, थूक से उंगली गीली करो, हाथ ऊपर करो, जिस तरफ ठंडा लग रहा है हवा वहां से आ रही है. You don't need AI and physics for conservation. You need emotions for conservation. Thank you.
That's a debate right now, emotions versus AI, who wins, right? So thank you so much for this wonderful talk and discussion. So it was very interactive. So any questions from the audience? You all are very patient. So thank you, sir. Please, your question.
I want to share my experience, the same experience, how you dress the elephant. So I usually travel to remote areas to encourage coconut farms. So I'm a coconut breeder. I develop climate resilient coconuts. And in Orissa, there's a fundamental like coconuts only grown in coastline areas. But I strongly promote in western areas to import rivals. So the way I work for 3-4 years, so Gujarat farmers they keep calling me to visit Gujarat to support them how to grow coconuts in their wide range of coastline areas. So just 2 months back, I traveled to Gujarat near Gir Somnath. There is Gir National Park famous for lions, right? So क्या हुआ? So there is a farm, and when they are taking me to that farm, they have the footprints of lions. They told that every day we see lions. Then हम lions सुन told कि यार lions is how you work them. They never attack us, but you have to be careful. You should not like go closer to them. Just stay away. So we stayed in the farm, and they warned us like after 7 p.m. you should not come out, and before 7 a.m. even you should not come out because lions keep roaming. Then in the morning, I saw the walkers. They are just walking in the early morning. Then I started next day. I started walking in the farm just for morning walk. Then they want to please come back, come back. Then I came back. No, what happened? No, why it was told that you should not come out? Why you came out? Now you guys are roaming around, so that's why I came. No, no, no. We know that lions are not here. Now, how do you know that? That there is a bird called Pihia. I exactly don't know what kind of species. Whenever they see the lions in the forest, dense forest or farms, they keep chasing them and alerting the other. This and these guys, they keep listening to us. If any sounds nearby from 2-3 kilometers, they are able to hear. If it's not there, means this place is safe. So that's why you come out. But now we are coming out. We heard that sound some nearby. These are the signals that you don't really need science or AI. There's a lot of, and we should respect the ancient wisdom to keep them alive and how to integrate with our own advanced learning so that we can make more sustainable solutions for the future. Thank you so much.
Taking on that only, you need data, you need analysis, but with that, emotions also for everything.
So I would like to also put my point here that the people seems to be very skeptical about AI.
Yeah.
But the thing is that AI is not going to take anyone's job. It can also create a lot of jobs at the same time. And also let's not be skeptical about AI and data. Rather try to bring ethical ways to use AI and rather focus on that so that we can actually make use of a power that we have kind of found or we have discovered, rather than kind of trying to push it back to one side that, oh no, let's the world become
Same,
very
same in
skeptical
agriculture
about.
also. Same in agriculture. A lot of SOA university students, they come to my farm for training. We have a mindset to use for organic, and chemicals. But there was a time how chemical fertilizers saved the human civilization. You should understand that. We should respect the science as well as we should respect the ancient wisdom how to use your organic manure or organic practices in agriculture, as well as respecting the chemical fertilizer, how to use that in the agriculture. It's to have a sustainable way of, producing food for rising population. Yeah.
So with this, I would like to invite Ms. Dr. Neeta ma'am to the stage, please, for the felicitation of the speakers for this session of Climate Champions Predicting Future and Driving Sustainability. Round of applause, please. That's the only way of communication from your side. So a big round of applause, please. Thank you so much. So now we are felicitating Amia Sur. So here the group picture is coming, please. Have a great round of applause for the. Thank you so much. Now moving to the next session, session number 5. I would like to call upon the stage Sandhya Gundredi from the Microsoft Corporation. The theme is Building the Future Women in Tech AI. A very good afternoon. Can you hear me? Awesome. A big shout to our engineers here. Can you wave? Engineers in the audience. Hands up. Agriculturists. Veterinarians. Awesome. We have a great mix here. I'm Sandhya Gundredi and I'm a Chevening Fellow at Oxford. On my day job, I head the Engineering for Commerce Finance platform at Microsoft. And I'm going to talk about the future of building the future with technology and AI, if you will. As most of you know, every generation has seen one technology or the other that changes everything. At one point of time, it was electricity. Another point of time, it was internet. And now, this generation is looking at it as AI.